Welcome to yet another E3 episode of Just One More Topic. I am Tridrachius.
And I'm Ponyermom X12 Bravo.
I am Cedric the Butcher.
And I'm Tiborius, and here we go down this yellow brick road of E3 coverage. And the moment he's been waiting for. Tridrachius, tell me about Sony.
Okay, well let me just go through. Got my notes here, so you know
He's
that's
prepared.
we've got. Wait a minute, wait. No, that's nope. This is Microsoft's. God of War. Yeah. So how about
Pretty
that
much.
Xbox One X?
And that has been our episode for...
No.
Long story short, Sony is in their severe apathetic phase. I mean, honey badger to the extreme. They are out of shits to give. They check their wallet. Their Sony PlayStation wallet is empty. They don't care.
Honestly, I'm biased towards Microsoft. But I was really hoping that PlayStation or Sony would have something that was just, because normally they do. They have something that just completely blows my mind, and it's like, damn it, Microsoft's screwed. This year, man, they took a crap in their pants.
It's not that necessarily the conference. There's
is.
just no words to really explain the conference that they had. They started out strong with Uncharted, Lost Legacy.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the instrumental thing.
Oh, well,
I thought he was talking about
The
the fact that
waterfall.
they actually had no words in the conference.
Yeah, technical difficulties right off the bat. Did anybody, was that a thing for money, or was that just a thing
they
for
didn't. It was like, "Hi, we're Sony.
And
Bye, we're Sony."
cue the sitar.
yeah. So
the waterfall?
which was kind of a weird, interesting
If
thing.
the guy would have started
Very
shredding
old
some
special
Metallica or
effect.
something, I would have definitely been way more into it.
But yeah,
They would have gotten Ravi Shankar, you know.
Who?
Good lord. Plebes.
So, but they started strong with Uncharted Lost Legacy, the standalone title that follows the events of Uncharted 4, brings back Chloe Fisher. They then followed it up with games like
God of
Days
War.
Gone. Days Gone being a survival, apocalyptic, potentially co-op type of thing.
So kind of Last of Us.
Very, very. It's like it seems like it's a cross between The Last of Us and Left 4 Dead.
That is not a bad thing. In
Very
fact,
interesting. A lot of games are starting to go with this like post-apocalyptic thing, and people.
urban decay,
People might be getting tired of it, but there's still life left. Yeah, there's still life left in it. Irony.
Still making zombie games.
Undead stuff, but so they started strong, and then they kind of flatlined.
Okay,
And
I'm just going to say it. Monster Hunter World,
Yeah.
the graphics, what happened? Because now, me and Cedric were talking, and we really discussed how we almost wish that Microsoft had gone later, because after seeing everything that they did with Project Scorpio, which now of course is Xbox One X, the graphics were so freaking crisp, and then it was like we saw graphics from Monster Hunter World and stuff like that. And it was just like, man, that looked terrible.
It's still an early build. Give it a chance. I have faith in Monster Hunter. I don't care what they say.
Why would you put it in a conference then?
well, why would Sony
Apparently-
have their conference?
Yeah,
Because
right.
that's the biggest
Maybe they
question.
should have pulled a Nintendo and just not shown up.
So
Moving on.
Probably would have been better.
the conference just kind of flatlined. I mean, they didn't make the announcements of like Monster Hunter World exclusive for PS4.
Clear.
Spider-Man.
Clear.
And that's kind of the biggest thing. Like in the middle of the show, they had God of War, which looked absolutely amazing, super fun to play.
That game
Do
looked
give you
awesome.
props for that.
They-
God of
That
War
game
looks
was
amazing.
incredible.
They're taking God of War, bringing it to Norse mythology. You don't have the main character doesn't just yell things out. He's actually talking.
Yeah, it
And-
doesn't look like a, it's
No,
not
not
hack and
sold.
slash anymore.
And he's also what looks to be teaching his son throughout this entire process. So you kind of have like this bonding thing going on while
Now-
the world is just
Skyrim kind of started this. This is an area we need to go to. God of War's following suit. We need more Nordic-based games.
Yes.
from that
Yes.
time period. That period of history is incredibly rich, and their society is actually far more interesting and well balanced than you ever would have thought.
And another major question that I have, Kratos, he's just he's a badass. He kills gods for a living, literally. It kind of
legit.
somewhat looks like they're trying to turn Kratos into an axe-wielding version of Thor, because more times than not, like he would extend his hand and his axe would just appear.
Right.
So
what's
we're
weird
going to
is-
get a cross-dressing scene, is what you're telling me.
Oh, well,
Yeah, there's depth there.
Chris Hemsworth
Wrestling a giant serpent.
But they're humanizing him. It's not
Yeah,
what it used to be, where he was that god killer. It's now he's raising his son, and like it's not
Well, and that's
it's not the chain sword wielding
Wielding
guy now.
craziness.
and
that-
and that's important because if you look back at the original God of War, that was the thing that made Kratos so great. Was he wasn't just an incoherent rage monster. He had a reason for the rage.
Right.
I mean, and again, because of how well the game did, I mean, it was supposed to be a one-off. We've gotten into that.
Yeah.
But
Sony saw dollar signs. And they're
yeah, but the fact that they're trying to bring that around and give that a story again, I think is excellent. So God of War is a great standout.
and the combat, the gameplay seems to be the best it's ever been. Like from what they were showing.
Which you would expect.
So
Yeah.
is what I'm kind of, because in God of War, the original God of Wars, they were his wife and kid were killed, and that's kind of what now. So is this an origin story? Is
A complete and total like reboot of the franchise.
Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
Which I think is fine. I think everybody would be willing to forgive it
I mean-
if it's done right.
Spoiler alert, Kratos destroys the entire Greek pantheon, so he kind of has to do something else now.
Yep.
So,
Speaking of not complete and total reboots, Shadow of the Colossus,
yes, a remake of,
which is
Shadow
a
of the Colossus,
fancy word for remaster.
which, is Shadow of the Colossus, great game. I'm kind of surprised that they're going back to this one. I mean, there's plenty of things that Sony's Japan studios could be doing, like making new games.
Right. Well, then there was a bunch of VR BS.
Yes, and to sum it up, last year one of the big games that was going to be featuring a VR mode was Final Fantasy 15. They hyped it up when the game came out. There was no actual VR mode
This hurts.
for the game, and Final Fantasy
Why do you beat me?
and Final Fantasy 15 turned out to be a big steaming pile of disappointment.
Now their
It's
VR
like the
game
last
should be
four.
like
So-
the VR game's gonna be so bad
And
that it's
I am
going to.
so excited.
Now, let me ask
so
you this.
excited for the VR game.
What about Final Fantasy VII?
Well, Square Enix, they have confirmed that they do expect the title to release. So now
When?
Yes.
Just released.
yeah,
Okay,
just
good. That's
released.
about what we expect. Thanks, Square Enix.
So the thing with VR is the fact that, well, they showcased a side-scrolling game for VR, which doesn't really make sense. And back to the whole Final Fantasy 15 thing, they decided to take one tiny aspect of Final Fantasy 15, the fishing aspect, and create a full-on VR title.
Monster Hunter Bass Edition.
God, why? And it looks so terrible, so bad.
I mean, fishing is one of the best features of Final Fantasy 15, which is
That's saying
surprising
something.
yet
That's that right there.
They're making a full-fledged fishing game for VR.
And
And apparently during the gameplay, you can get eaten by the fish that you catch.
and
which is great.
that would be a godsend.
So
That's Sony.
back to the VR thing. I mean, they had that, but then they came out with a Star Child VR, and it was a side-scrolling
With-
platformer.
Yeah.
which I'm not really like. It just I don't know why VR would benefit that, but they had other games like Detroit Become Human, which looks like it's taking the concept of Watch Dogs and actually doing something with it.
Yes.
So it's about these androids that are becoming self-aware. They're trying to free themselves from this like their own version of Skynet.
So yeah, choose your own adventure.
Yeah, like every single thing you do.
So it'll be impossible.
your actions.
Seriously,
your,
those books were morbidly hard.
From your actions to the decisions you make, the people you talk to, all affect the story around you, which is a very difficult thing to do. But this is the studio, Quantic Dream, that made Heavy Rain and Indigo Prophecy.
So if anyone can do it,
it would be them.
So we're running low on time. We still have Destiny 2 and Spider-Man to cover.
Yeah, which
So Destiny 2.
Yeah,
Destiny 2, hopefully it won't completely fall on its face 6 months after launch.
They talked about that they're going to talk about the story, and essentially the story was like 2 sentences, which is like one more sentence than Destiny 1, essentially trying to bring back our fear of death, as he then, this is Sparta, someone off of the cliff. Not exactly interesting. There is some exclusive content coming to PlayStation. They had like 2 minutes of talking, and the conference just...
This is Sony. This is E3.
Yeah, Sony just did not really show up, which is kind of surprising because you would think they would have some kind of response for what we're going to be talking about in the next episode, which is Microsoft, which had a fairly long
get 15
conference.
minutes out of that.
So,
I know, right? We have a lot of bullshit to say.
Yeah,
You know, I'm fairly certain that the guy that was doing the conference for Sony just had his high school kid break the whole thing and plan it out because...
That's insulting to high schoolers everywhere.
Not anymore.
Fair point.
I am Tridrachius.
I'm Pony Mom X12 Bravo. I'm sorry I couldn't be better looking.
I am Cedric the Butcher.
That's actually starting to get funny. I am Tiborius.
It usually is after you force it on them.
Had a couple drinks.
He
We'll
pretty
see
much
you
got to
next
force
time.
himself on anybody.
Yeah.
Easy.
Alright, kill it.
There was like this
disappeared and
dinosaur
reappeared.
monster thing that he's like walking by and he just pops on this little ghillie suit and
God,
the monster
that's
can't see
horrible.
him all of a sudden.
Oh, no, I thought you meant the
And-
monster put the ghillie suit on. That sounded
No,
horrible.
and